most Americans do not need more salt. The average American already consumes 2 to 3x more than the recommendation for salt intake. I have a very love-hate relationship with electrolytes. On one hand, I take them almost every single day. On the other, they are useless 95% of the time.
Okay.
The world of supplements has convinced Americans that we need more salt in our diet. This is an absolutely wild thing to me.
Every morning, I make myself a big water with a ton of supplements. I find it one of the easiest ways to kind of stack my supplements in the morning. But something I always put in there is electrolytes. I love the way they taste. They add a nice kind of zing to my morning supplement water. But I never quite know if they're doing anything. And so I wanted to ask, I know that you know a lot about this topic. And I'm very curious, is it something that we should be taking every day? Or if not, what days should we be taking it?
Oh, so I have a very love-hate relationship with electrolytes. On one hand, I take them almost every single day. On the other, they are useless 95% of the time.
Okay.
And first, I think let's talk about electrolytes as a concept, and then we'll break down individually. So electrolytes, we tend to think of as salt. You know, and I think it's incredible, by the way, that the world of supplements has convinced Americans that we need more salt in our diet. This is a absolutely wild thing to me. But that's what the majority of electrolytes are, salt heavy. But you also have other components. You have things like potassium, you have chloride, you have magnesium. Those are all electrolytes, calcium. These are all electrolytes in our body that act as little electrical signaling molecules that really kind of do almost everything. We require calcium for muscle contraction. Our heart cannot beat without calcium. We cannot, sodium and potassium work to help regulate things like blood pressure and fluid retention. Like when we have too much sodium in our system, potassium can help us excrete sodium. So these things work very, very much in concert in our body. We don't lose that much of them. Okay. So you and I sitting here right now, we're not really sweating. We're not losing a lot. Even if I'm working out and I go for a 20-minute run and I'm in a gym, I'm not losing enough salt where I need to take in a whole bunch more that my diet's not giving me. So electrolytes as a concept are okay, but we're taking them wrong.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And it's interesting you say that because I think there's also a lot of questions around, like you said, you know, potassium, magnesium, calcium, these other types of electrolytes that aren't just sodium. A lot of brands come out with different proportions of these in their formulations. And I think people look at it and I'll hear things, and, oh, this one has more potassium, or, oh, this one has more sodium, and that's what I need because I sat in the sauna today. Is there a kind of best concentration to look for if you are going to take electrolytes, and do things like sitting in the sauna or how much you're exercising kind of affect what type of electrolytes you should be taking?
To a degree. And so I say that in the sense of like most people, and I'll say most Americans, do not need more salt. Sure, if you are focusing on a low salt diet, if your diet is so well curated that you are not taking that extra salt, maybe. That's not me. I don't think that's you. That's not most people. We don't need more salt. And so I take electrolytes pretty much every day. Mine is not salt heavy at all. Yeah. Mine will have some magnesium in it. It will have potassium in it, some B vitamins, etc. Mostly the reason I take electrolytes is because it makes me happy. Because I like it. It tastes good. In the afternoon when I need a little pick-me-up, I mix it with fizzy water. And I'm not drinking more caffeine. To me, it's a better than idea versus something I need.
No, I think that's a good way to look at it is the better than. I think for me, I like the salty taste of my electrolytes in my water, especially with, you know, other flavor from powders to get like this salty lemonade action happening. But I try to only make that one time per day because I feel like if I make it more than once, I'm like, oh my God, I'm having 3 electrolyte packets in a day. Like that just feels like it can't be good for me. Is there any truth to that? Is there any downside if somebody was just all day long, you know, sipping on electrolyte beverages?
So, yes.
Okay.
The average American already consumes 2 to 3x more than the recommendation for salt intake. If you're sitting there drinking. The other thing worth noting is a lot of them have added sugars. So that's an important thing to be thinking about as well.
100%.
But let's assume you've solved that problem. Let's assume that you're not taking the one with added sugar. You should never be drinking electrolyte with added sugars. That's crazy. If you are drinking one that's salt heavy, all you're doing is adding that to your system. Salt is more salt than we need it should be thought of the same way we think about sugar. It's not healthy. It increases our blood pressure. It puts more strain on the system. In order for us to actually excrete that sodium, we have to increase blood pressure to be able to do so. It tastes good, but that's like saying like, I like ice cream.
Yeah.
Is it good for me? Like, no,
Can
it's
I
not.
eat it all day?
It's not good for you. It's not, even though you take it and you ingest it and you enjoy it, we've just put a nice, fancy, healthy label on it to make it feel healthy. The other thing with that is most people are, we don't want to say deficient, but there's also this concept of insufficient in nutrients like potassium. Like something like 50 to 70% of the population is insufficient in magnesium. Absolutely a use case for that being the way that you intake those particular nutrients. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Magnesium helps regulate our sleep. It helps regulate melatonin production. It helps decrease stress and helps us relax through various systems. Potassium helps counteract the effects of sodium, can help decrease blood pressure. If we are deficient or insufficient in these, which most people are, I don't want to say most, many people are.
Many people.
That's a fantastic way to add that to your system. But you have to do it in a way that you're not also adding that amount of salt, because some of them are very high in salt content.
A lot of salt. And just to clarify, I feel like a lot of people don't equate the salt in their diet to the salt they're taking in an electrolyte packet. Are they exactly the same? And is there any difference when it's combined with things like potassium, magnesium, and other electrolytes in the way that your body absorbs or processes it?
No, it's salt. Sugar is sugar is sugar. Salt is salt is salt.
It's unfortunate.
The more we intake, the worse we are going to be. There is, like I said, aside from very specific exclusions. So for some reason, if you are one of the small percent of people that are not getting enough salt in your diet, go for it. Otherwise, all you're doing is hurting yourself, adding more salt to the system.
And so my next question is, are there food sources of electrolytes that, focus more on like potassium, magnesium, if you wanted to kind of avoid that sodium overload, but you were sweating a lot, or you did want to make sure that other electrolyte intake was adequate or higher, what food should you prioritize, or what supplements, kind of what do you recommend that alternate route to be? Yeah,
definitely. So potassium, we always go to the banana. But you can find it in all fruits and vegetables. Avocados are another really high source of potassium, but pretty much any fruit and vegetable will provide potassium. Bananas just tend to be the fun one that get all the credit.
Totally.
Magnesium, leafy greens is a big one. Beans, legumes, also a big one. Really easy to get those in the diet as well. So if you are looking for alternatives to supplement, or if you just are trying to avoid electrolytes for some reason, those are great ways to do it. And I think it's very important to clarify, I am not anti-electrolyte. I am anti-salt. And I think they tend to be correlated. They're not causal, they are correlated. Most electrolytes do it. You can absolutely find versions of electrolytes that are not salt heavy. And so I think that's very, very important to clarify that. Like, again, I use them every day. I enjoy them. It helps me not have that extra caffeine boost in the afternoon. But I'm very particular about the version I use that's not adding that salt to my diet.
And I think that's a great flag to look at an electrolyte label, is to look for the added sugar first and foremost, and then to look at the salt content and see what you're really getting in your product.
And something else we need to think about, because what the inevitable question is, and you mentioned this earlier, I sat in the sauna so I sweat a ton, or I was in the gym for an hour on the Stairmaster and I sweat a lot. You still don't need the salt from electrolytes, because guaranteed you're going to eat that salt. Not guaranteed. Very likely you're going to eat back that salt through your daily diet. You could do it faster, sure, but you're going to get it throughout the day. Now, if you are experiencing things like, if you're getting cramps, if you people restless leg syndrome at night that people deal with, or if you have headaches, more than likely it is going to come down to two things, either potassium or magnesium. It could be salt, but that is almost always the third culprit. It's going to likely be potassium or magnesium. You don't need to get those particular ingredients from electrolytes. You can, nothing wrong with it, but you can also take them as standalone supplements. It's worth, if you are concerned, it's worth getting a blood check done. Those are very easy things that are done. Magnesium is a little bit harder to test. You have to do it through red blood cell testing. You can't do it through blood. Potassium shows up on any standard blood panel. Calcium will show up on any standard blood panel. But it's worth having that done if you're concerned. Again, as opposed to reaching for the salt heavy drink to try and replace that. So one other area that the reason people reach for electrolytes, and I am also guilty of, is fatigue.
Yeah.
I'm fatigued, I'm tired, this is for me, the afternoon lull, my caffeine is worn off, I reach for the electrolyte, I feel like I have energy. That's placebo for me, but there are a lot of reasons why electrolytes can help with fatigue. But you also have to look at root cause.
Yep.
If you are up till 2 a.m. streaming some sort of show and then you're waking up early to get ready for work, do not blame that on that you didn't have your electrolytes for the day. Like, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to really understand, like, is my lifestyle causing fatigue, or could I actually be deficient in something? Fatigue is an absolute byproduct of being low in certain electrolytes. It's why it's worth doing a blood panel if you're really concerned, but it's also worth taking a very honest look internally and being like, am I doing this to myself? Is my sleep not good? Is my diet okay? Am I recovering properly from my exercise? All these things need to be accounted for first.
Yeah, and I think it's also good that we're flagging here that there are electrolytes that aren't just sodium, because I think things that people have heard many times about, oh, if you get a cramp while you're running, eat a banana because of the potassium. If your digestion is slow, magnesium citrate can potentially help that. Like, a lot of these symptoms that may relate to some type of electrolyte deficiency are typically people are typically remembered or recommended to take supplements that are electrolytes to help counteract that or kind of soften those symptoms. So I think it's nice to kind of broaden that framing of electrolytes beyond just what you might be seeing in the packet marketed right now. To these supplements have been things that people have taken for targeted reasons now for, decades. And so I think it's, they do have their place, but it's just not the added sugar, very high sodium packet that we see marketed so heavily right now.
Absolutely. And it's funny because you go in any supermarket, you see 10 to 20 brands of electrolytes sitting on the shelf because, they're easy, they're fun. And I think with supplements, we're tired of pills.
Yeah.
There's fun flavors, they taste good. They do make you feel good. They can have this even a placebo effect of making you just feel like you're doing something healthy.
100%.
Again, nothing wrong with any of that. You just have to make the right decision on the things that you're putting in your body. Make it better. Don't make it worse. You know what I mean?
Why do you think that there's this huge boom right now of everyone taking electrolytes all day long?
There's probably a couple of reasons, right? And one, which is actually pretty valid, is a large number of the population are walking around underhydrated. Or I don't want to say dehydrated, but like not adequately hydrated. And, there's this whole push of like, oh, you can't just drink water. And it's like, you can if you're getting the other things through food. Everyone wants to say like, oh, you can't drink water, you can't drink water. But most of us are not also getting a proper diet where we're getting all these minerals and vitamins and electrolytes that we need. So this becomes like a perfect storm. I can fix my hydration. It tastes great. I feel good.
Yeah.
And on the supplement side, they're cheap to produce. You can charge a very high premium or a high price point. You can put in a nice fancy packaging. And it becomes now a premium wellness product, which is a lot easier than cooking the fruits and the vegetables and all the things to like actually hit those markers on your own.
Yeah, and I think also something I hear a lot is people saying, like you touched on dehydration. They say, I'm feeling a little dehydrated, so I'm going to put electrolytes in my water. And then there's this thought that this, one glass of water with electrolytes is going to be a lot more effective than one glass of water without electrolytes. What's your take on that?
It very individual. If you are deficient in a number of these, not sodium, but in a number of these other elements, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with taking it in that format, especially if you're not getting the added sugars as well. I use them that way. It's great. I have a kid at home. We have a busy job. Like, it's not easy to always cook and eat, the proper meal. So sometimes it is just a really nice way to get that. It shouldn't replace water. I know people that literally, as you kind of mentioned, like, I just want to drink electrolytes all day long. It's not, again, you're going to get the same level of hydration from the two.
Right.
Hydration itself is not the issue. It's having the proper levels of the electrolytes in your body. And it doesn't have to come through drinking the electrolytes all day long. Water is fine.
Yeah. Still effective.
I drink plain water all day long. But you just have to be able to hit those adequate levels where you're not insufficient in some of these nutrients.
No, absolutely. So I feel like we're talking a lot right now about kind of the negative case of electrolytes, of when you shouldn't take it. And like we said, you take it every day. I take it every day. So we're not saying you shouldn't take it every day, but for, kind of the general buyer, what should they keep in mind? What type of products should they choose? And kind of how can they make that most healthy decision if they want to take electrolytes?
Yeah, it's a great question. So first and foremost, no added sugars.
Okay.
I have a personal rule of thumb that I don't drink my calories or I don't drink my sugars.
It's a good rule.
I get sugar in my life. Let's be real about that. But I do everything in my power to not consume it. It's just too easy to drink through liquid.
Yeah.
So no added sugars. Really, again, avoid too much added sodium. Most of them are going to have a little bit, but you can find ones that have very, very little sodium added and have different use cases altogether. Yeah. So minimizing those two things. The other piece of it, and the physiological reason to drink electrolytes is for the potassiums, the magnesiums, the calciums if you need it, etc. The best thing you can do for that is honestly get a blood test done. Get a standard panel done. Look and see if you are actually deficient in one or more of these elements.
Yeah.
If you are, you have a pretty easy choice to make. Do you want to try to get it through your electrolyte? Do you want to do it as a third-party supplement? Whatever that may be, that's fine.
Yeah.
The final piece of this, if you are using a supplement, and again, I'm guilty of this, is sometimes you just want to do it because I like it, it tastes good, it makes me feel good. Nothing wrong with that. Just go back to point one. Avoid the added sugar, avoid the added sodium, and try to keep it to 1 or maybe 2 a day.
Yeah.
You're not, again, it's not going to be the end of the world for you, but try to treat it as a treat. Unless you're actively using it to supplement and you have a deficiency or an insufficiency, that's completely fine. If you're just using it as like a enjoyment, I think treat it that way as opposed to replacing water.
Yeah. And I also think, just adding on a little bit, that because there are typically different electrolytes in these products, if you're taking it, before a run and you're finding that you don't cramp as much, or if you're taking it, at night and you're figuring out you sleep better, it's worth thinking about what's in your product. And is it, does it have potassium? Does it have magnesium? What kind of is that formulation? And there might be something in there that is what's really providing that specific benefit that you're feeling, which is just good to be aware of, kind of for your own health and your own product choices of what might be the driver behind, what you're feeling.
I agree. It's the rule for all supplements.
Yeah.
Know why you're taking what you're taking. Even if you're taking something in a way that's not intended, at least know the why. As long as you do that and you feel good with it, that's your choice.